The Civil War. The Civil War was inevitable. If the Union kept slavery and unjust rights, then most likely this would occur, ultimately causing more violence and destruction with reinvented weapons produced during the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution ended with mixed results. For example, the Waltham-Lower system. It was a labor and production employment during the 19th century. It resulted horribly, at least for women. They were almost injured every day. People had to work for the prevention of separation of their families. Last, immigration workers. They were seen as slaves because they needed money to work, causing them to work for just about anything, which was wrong. The antebellum period was basically pre-war. This was the actual transformation of being a nation of farmers into businessmen. It was also the diversion of the South and North. The South was focused more agriculturally at the time, and the North was focused industrially. Religiously, an example would be the Second Great Awakening. It began to benefit those of the opposing side of slaves and abolitionists. Another example would be women's rights. They began speaking on how women should be treated, creating transformation. Abolition was persuading people to agree with you, which influenced the other states to become new, equal, and right. This was the main reason Lincoln's 13th Amendment was passed, but the failure includes those who stuck to their rights and is the South, which is the opposite. Women's rights was also similar. They began questioning, speaking about rights, education, and health. Women were the people who were left out because they were known as inferior beings, forcing them to be mistreated, dependent upon others. Women were also a giant influence on the movements and transformations, but still, their right to vote wasn't passed until 1920. As we all know, the North and South had their own differences, specifically on how to govern or run their own nation, which inevitably led to the Civil War. The North focused more on skilled workers in factories, which was modern and industrial, while the South focused more on slaves and farms and plantations, which was less modern and agricultural. After all, the leading events of the Civil War, it finally occurred. War broke out and many events followed as a result of this. Soldiers were called into duty, women were called into service, and each side started to strategize and plan out. Since the Civil War was starting, they would need nurses and people who would spy because it was a Civil War. Prior to the war, President Lincoln faced many tough decisions towards the very, very great act to end slavery with the Union. President Lincoln changed the United States from then and on. Now he states or makes it true that all men are equal no matter their skin color or who or where thou man came from. Towards the end of the Civil War, basically it ended with three amendments: the 13th Amendment, 14th Amendment, and lastly the 15th Amendment. They were basically laws that shaped the American society as of now. These amendments basically made all the rights for men. The 13th abolished slavery, the 14th made the rights for men, and the 15th. In a nutshell, post-war the Civil War was basically cleanup time. It was America constructing themselves to become a better country, reuniting the South and the North, repairing the losing team, which was the South, and everything that happened that wasn't showing or representing a great and strong nation, which we are today.